very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor and here are the headlines. Diwali celebrated with traditional fervour across the country and other parts of the world. Prime Minister spends day with the troops along the line of control in Gurez in Jammu and Kashmir. Air quality levels very poor in Delhi a day after festivities despite ban on sale of firecrackers. Pollution board says situation better than last year. Pakistan's anti-graft court indicts ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, his daughter and son-in-law in corruption case related to properties in London. Formal trial to start on 26th of October. Wave of attacks by Taliban militants targeting Afghan security forces. 61 security forces killed, 10 attackers also eliminated. And India beat Malaysia 6-2 at the ongoing Asia Cup hockey tournament in Dhaka. Will now play Pakistan on Saturday. The Festival of Lights Diwali was celebrated across the country with a great pomp and show yesterday. In Uttar Pradesh, Diwali celebrations were in full force across the state. The homes were seen adorned with the decorative lights and garlands. More light and less noise that reflected the eco-friendly mood of the people in the state. Now, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath visited Ayodhya and took part in special puja. In Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh, the festival was celebrated with enthusiasm and fervour as well. In Amritsar, the Golden Temple was decorated with colourful lights. Children burst crackers at various places including Chandigarh, Ambala, Rohtak, Hisar, Gurgaon, Faridabad, Bhiwani, Amritsar, Jalandhar and Pathankot. In West Bengal, Deepavali along with the Kali Puja was celebrated despite intermittent rains in the state. A large number of devotees visited the Kali Ghat and Dakshineshwar temples to offer prayers to the goddess on the auspicious day. The festival was also celebrated across Odisha, Tripura, Bihar and Jharkhand. Now, Delhi witnessed a thick haze and noise as is celebrated Diwali on Thursday, dashing the hopes of a cracker-free festivities following a Supreme Court ban on the sales of firecrackers in the national capital region. The online indicators of the pollution monitoring stations in the city glowed red, indicating a very poor air quality as the volume of ultra-fine particulate matter PM25 and PM10, which entered the respiratory system and managed to reach the bloodstream, sharply rose at around 7 p.m. The Delhi Pollution Control Committee's Arkepura monitoring station recorded PM2.5 and PM10 at 878 and 1,179 micrograms per cubic meter at around 11 p.m. The situation was similar, if not worse, in the neighbouring regions of Delhi such as Gurugram, Noida and Ghaziabad as well. However, the Central Pollution Control Board has reported that the pollution levels in Delhi were lower compared to the air quality recorded during Diwali last year in 2016. Big cities also like Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore and Chennai also witnessed similar bad air quality conditions post-Diwali night celebrations. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi celebrated Diwali with the troops posted along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir's Gurez sector. He lauded the soldiers for their penance and sacrifice, saying that he considers them his family. In an unannounced visit, the Prime Minister arrived at Gurez on Diwali morning. He spent 2 hours with the soldiers in Gurez Valley, which is shouting distance of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, and has witnessed many gunfights with infiltrating militants in the past 27 years. Now, this is the 4th successive Diwali that the Prime Minister has celebrated with the Jawans on the border. Chief of the Army Staff, General B.S. Rawat, and the other senior army officers were also present on the occasion. The Prime Minister offered sweets and exchanged greetings with the Jawans. Addressing the Jawans, he said that like everyone else, he too wishes to spend Diwali with his family. Therefore, he had come home along the Jawans of the armed forces, whom he considers to be his family. The Prime Minister said that the centre is committed to the welfare and the betterment of the armed forces in every way possible. In this regard, he mentioned the implementation of a one lakh one pension, which had been pending for decades.
आप लोग कैसे जिंदगी गुजारते हैं, वो कौन सी भावना है, कौन सी प्रेरणा है कि जो आपको ये ताकत देती है। जब मैं आप लोगों से हाथ मिलाता हूं तो आपको लगता होगा कि ये कोई फॉर्मेलिटी है, मिलाना पड़ता है। मेरे लिए फॉर्मेलिटी नहीं है, मुझे एकदम से ऊर्जा मिलती है। आपसे हाथ मिलाता हूं, एक नई चेतना आ जाती है, नई ताकत आ जाती है।
And on the occasion of Diwali, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also interacted with a group of BJP workers of Gujarat and Varanasi from his residence through audio bridge. Through mobile technology, the Prime Minister greeted more than 2,000 BJP workers and their families in his parliamentary constituency, Varanasi. He said the poor, villagers, farmers, women and the youth of Varanasi have received newer opportunities for progress through various schemes of the Government of India. The Prime Minister called upon party workers to make a sanitation campaign in Varanasi 100% successful. The Prime Minister also communicated with 4 different groups of more than 23,000 BJP workers in Gujarat through audio bridge. He also had a conversation with many party workers on telephone and answered their questions. The Prime Minister said that the people in Gujarat are connected to BJP with emotional unity because they are progressive and development oriented. The Prime Minister said that there is nothing except misrepresentation in the negative politics of opposition, and there is no place for the well-being and development of the people in their politics. And Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman also celebrated Diwali with the military personnel at the strategically important Tri-Services Command on the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Sitharaman, who arrived at the command on Wednesday, also reviewed its security preparedness and other operational matters. The Defence Minister also paid homage to Indian Air Force personnel and their families who were killed during the tsunami in the Car Nicobar Islands. She also visited a naval facility and the Coast Guard base under the Andaman and Nicobar Command here. This was her first visit to the strategically important command after assuming charge as the Defence Minister. And Border Security Force personnel exchanged sweets with their Pakistani counterparts to mark the Festival of Lights, Diwali. BSF personnel and Pakistani Rangers shook hands as they exchanged sweets. The two countries' border forces traditionally exchange sweets at the Attari-Wagah border during their respective major Hindu or Muslim festivals. The annual practice is a confidence-building measure and an attempt to establish peace between the nuclear-armed neighbours.
बीएसएफ जो कि फर्स्ट लाइन ऑफ डिफेंस है, डीजी बीएसएफ की तरफ से दीपावली के ऊपर पूरे देशवासियों को शुभकामनाएं। और इस ओकेजन पे बीएसएफ ने पाक रेंजर्स को स्वीट्स प्रदान की और उनकी तरफ से भी हमें स्वीट्स दी गई।
And External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj has said that on the auspicious occasion of Diwali, India will grant medical visas in all deserving cases that are pending. Sushma Swaraj said this as she responded positively to a number of such queries by Pakistani nationals. She raised and granted a visa request by a Pakistani woman to visit her father, who is already in Delhi for treatment. Sushma Swaraj had already directed the Indian High Commission in Islamabad to issue a visa to a Pakistani child for medical treatment in India. Visa has also been approved for a Pakistani woman who wants to undergo liver surgery in India. Sushma Swaraj has been taking a sympathetic approach in granting medical visas to Pakistani nationals, notwithstanding strain in ties between India and Pakistan over a host of issues, including cross-border terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. And Union Home Minister Rajnath Singh called on Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu at his residence on Thursday. The two leaders exchanged Deepavali greetings and discussed various issues. On to some other news now, giving the Indo-Russian defense cooperation a major boost. Exercise Indra 2017, the first ever tri-services joint exercises between Indian and Russian armed forces, began on Thursday in the Eastern Military District of Russia. Exercise Indra, which will conclude on 29th of October, in its previous 9 editions has been conducted as a single service exercise alternately between the two countries. The year 2017 marks a major milestone as this exercise has now been upgraded to involve all the 3 services of the armed forces, the Army, Navy and the Air Force, which further accentuates the importance of joint services in the present world environment. The Indian contingent will comprise of 350 personnel from the Army, 80 from the Indian Air Force, 2 IL-76 aircrafts and 1 frigate and corvette each from the Navy. As far as Russian Federation armed forces are concerned, they will be represented by approximately 1,000 troops of the 5th Army, Marines and ships of Pacific Fleet and aircraft from Eastern Military District. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be in Uttarakhand today. He will offer prayers at the Kedarnath Shrine and then fly back to Delhi. The visit is a day before the portals of the Himalayan shrine close for the winters. He will also lay the foundation stone for a slew of reconstruction projects in Kedarpuri, including the renovation of Adi Guru Shankaracharya's tomb, which was devastated in a catastrophic flash flood of 2013. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to address a public meeting near the famed temple, located around 11,660 feet above the sea level. Chief Minister and Governor of Uttarakhand will also accompany the Prime Minister to the temple, which is scheduled to close for the winters at 8 a.m. on Saturday. Now, this is the second visit of the Prime Minister to the shrine this season. He had earlier visited on 3rd of May when its gates had been reopened after the winter break. And time to take a very short break here. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Cashew nut, what we call otherwise a kaju, is exported by India even today and consumed within the country also substantially. I'm talking about the liquid from the shell, which is very harmful, very corrosive. If you're not careful, it will blind you. The use of cashew nut shell liquid to print microelectronic circuits has given me immense joy.
Watch Eureka with Dr. S.V. Ishwaran, Emeritus Professor, Regional Centre for Biotechnology, Faridabad, only on Rajya Sabha TV.
Welcome back after the break. News from Odisha now, and the death toll in Balasore district, a cracker factory fire has risen to 11, with 5 more persons succumbing to their burn injuries. A police officer has been suspended for the tragedy. The hospital authorities have formed a medical board for the proper treatment of those injured in the blast. The massive explosion at the illegal firecracker factory at Bahabalpur had claimed 6 lives and left 9 persons seriously injured on Wednesday. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik expressed grave concern over the incident. The Chief Minister has also announced 2 lakh rupees each as ex gratia for the kin of those dead and 50,000 rupees for those critically injured. And the well-marked low-pressure area in west-central Bay of Bengal has finally intensified into a depression, and under its impact, heavy rains and thunder showers have been witnessed in several parts of Odisha. According to the Bhubaneswar Met Office, the depression over the western central Bay of Bengal moved north-northeastwards with a speed of 30 kilometers per hour and has laid centered over the northwest Bay of Bengal, about 40 kilometers south-southwest of Paradeep and 90 kilometers south-southwest of Chandbali. The depression system will continue to move north-northeastwards and cross Odisha's coast close to Paradeep. Under its impact, rain or thunder showers are likely to occur at most places of the state during the next 24 hours. Sea condition is also likely to be rough and maybe a very rough, and fishermen have been advised not to venture into the sea. And now a look at what else is making news across the country. Let's go nationwide. After a gap of nearly a year, DMK chief M. Karunanidhi made his first public appearance at an exhibition in Chennai held to showcase the 75-year journey of the party's mouthpiece. The 93-year-old five-time Tamil Nadu chief minister went around the exhibition at the Delhi's office premises on his wheelchair. Now, Karunanidhi, who is wheelchair-bound since 2010, did not make a public appearance since October 2016 as he was ill. A blast took place inside the residential compound of a ruling PDP MLA in Shopian district of Jammu and Kashmir on Thursday, prompting the security personnel to fire a few rounds in retaliation. According to reports, suspected militants hurled a grenade towards the resident of Ayaz Ahmed Mir, an MLA from Vachi constituency in South Kashmir. The police personnel deployed on guard fired a few rounds in reaction to the blast. There was no damage in terms of life or property in the incident. The Punjab government has decided to hand over the probe into the killing of RSS leader Ravinder Gosai in Ludhiana to the National Investigation Agency. Chief Minister Captain Amarinder Singh issued orders in this regard while announcing a 5 lakh rupees compensation for the deceased family and a government job for one of his progeny. Gosai lost his wife to cancer some years ago and is survived by 4 children. Orders regarding an NIA probe were issued by the Chief Minister on a request by the RSS delegation that had met him at his residence on Thursday. Employees Provident Fund Organization has launched an online facility for its subscribers to link their Aadhaar number with the universal account number. The facility has been made available at EPFO's site as well. Now, this will facilitate the members for a better and speedy services. Big story coming in from Pakistan, where the country's anti-graft court on Thursday ousted Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, his daughter and son-in-law in a corruption case related to the properties in London. The case was one of the 3 cases registered by the National Accountability Bureau on 8th of September against Nawaz Sharif, his children and his son-in-law in the Accountability Court in Islamabad. The cases were registered weeks after the Supreme Court disqualified him as the Prime Minister on 28th of July in the Panama Papers case. The indictment comes at a time when Sharif is out of country. His sons Hassan and Hussein are co-accused in the entire property cases, and their trial would be held separately as they have refused to appear in the court so far. Sharif's daughter has also been charged with being the beneficial owner of the flats, while her spouse is also an accomplice. The court adjourned the hearing in the case till 26th of October, when formal trial would start.
इसी तरह इंतकाम लेना है तो बेहतर है कि नाअहली के बाद एक ही दफ़ा एक सज़ा और सुना दें। ये जो रोज़ की पेशियाँ और ये जो रोज़ एक सेम्बलेंस ऑफ रूल ऑफ लॉ और ये जो एक तमाशा रोज़ लगता है, इस टाइम बचाएं मुल्क का भी, कौम का भी, अपना भी, हमारा भी। और अगर सज़ा सुनानी है तो सुना दें, लेकिन कानून और आइन का तमाशा ना बनाएं, ह्यूमन राइट्स का तमाशा ना बनाएं। एक फैमिली की जो बेसिक राइट्स हैं, उनका फंडामेंटल राइट्स हैं, राइट्स टू फेयर ट्रायल, उसका तमाशा ना बनाएं और इंसाफ का तमाशा ना बनाएं।
Big story coming in from Afghanistan, where Taliban militants killed at least 61 Afghan security forces in a wave of attacks across the country, including an assault that nearly wiped out an army camp in the southern Kandahar province. The attack on the army camp late on Wednesday involved 2 suicide car bombs. It set off hours of fighting, killing at least 43 soldiers on the base of about 60. 9 other soldiers were wounded and 6 have gone missing. 10 attackers were also killed. Elsewhere in Afghanistan, a Taliban ambush in the northern Balkh province late on Wednesday killed 6 police officers, and a Taliban attack on police posts in western Farah province also on late Wednesday killed 12 policemen. Afghan forces, remember, have struggled to combat a resurgent Taliban since the US and NATO forces formally concluded their combat mission at the end of 2014, switching to a counter-terrorism and support role. Meanwhile, India has strongly condemned terror attacks in Afghanistan. The Ministry of External Affairs in a statement said that we strongly condemn the barbaric attack at the Afghan National Army base in Kandahar province. We share the grief of the families and the victims and the suffering of the Afghan people. The beginning of Afghan-owned and Afghan-led national reconciliation requires an end to violence. Now, states hosting the terrorists and their sanctuaries must eliminate them immediately and without distinction. Unquote. News from China, where the country's economic growth has slowed down marginally in the latest quarter, although experts said that it matched expectations. Chinese government data released on Thursday showed that the world's second largest economy grew at a 6.8% annual pace in the 3 months ending in September, down from the previous quarter's 6.9% growth.
A day after Chinese President Xi Jinping's big promises for the country's economic future, China reported growth data that's lower than the second quarter's 6.9% expansion. China's third quarter GDP growth was estimated to be 6.8% compared to the same period last year. The data follows government's efforts to cool the property market and cut debt risks.
初步核算，前3季度国内生产总值 按可比价格计算，同比增长6.9%，增速与上半年持平，比上年同期加快0.2个百分点。分产业看，第一产业增长3.7%，第二产业增长6.3%，第三产业增长7.8%。
China's National Statistics Bureau painted a steady but positive economic development in the first 3 quarters. It also highlighted challenges in a complex international environment amid structural changes domestically. On Monday, the People's Bank of China said the world's second largest economy is likely to post growth of 7% in the second half of the year, thanks to rapid household spending.
3季度国内生产总值同比增长6.8%。 经济连续9个季度运行在6.7%到6.9%的区间，保持中高速增长。
Other countries have always expressed skepticism about the veracity of China's GDP reports. Chinese President Xi Jinping had said on Wednesday that the world's second largest economy will move from high speed to high quality growth as it pushes ahead with reforms. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
News from Europe now. There is no end to Catalan crisis. The Spanish government has threatened that it will begin the process to impose direct rule on Catalonia to crush the region's independence bid. In a statement, the government of Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy said that it would invoke Article 155 of the Constitution. Now, this provision allows the central government to suspend the autonomy of the Catalan regional administration. It has never been invoked before. Rajoy's cabinet will meet on Saturday to agree the measures. The plan will then be put before the Senate for approval. The developments come as Catalan President Carles Puigdemont has threatened that the region could formally declare independence if the Spanish government did not engage in dialogue. It is noteworthy that a banned referendum on independence took place in Catalonia earlier this month, with 90% of voters reportedly in favor of a split from Madrid. But the turnout was only around 43%. Meanwhile, European Council President Donald Tusk has explicitly ruled out any EU action over Catalonia.
It's no hiding that the situation in Spain is concerning, but our position, I mean the institutions and member states are clear. There is no room, no space for any kind of mediation or...
On to sports news now. Ace Indian badminton player PV Sindhu has crashed out of the women's singles in the Denmark Open badminton tournament. The Olympic and World Championship silver medalist Sindhu lost to Chen Yufei of China in the opening round. Sindhu lost in straight games 17-21, 21-23. Meanwhile, in another game, shuttler H.S. Pranoy recorded his second successive win over three-time Olympic silver medalist Lee Chong-wei to storm into the quarterfinals. Pranoy will next face Korea's top seed Son Wang-ho. And India beat Malaysia 6-2 in the ongoing Asia Cup hockey tournament in Dhaka on Thursday. India put up a fabulous show from the opening minute of the game, while Malaysia opened their account in the final quarter and scored 2 goals. Goals from Akashdeep Singh, Harmanpreet Singh, S.K. Uthappa, S.V. Sunil, Gujrant Singh and Sardar Singh helped India down Malaysia. India is now at the top of the table with 4 points from a win and a draw. India will now clash against Pakistan on Saturday. That's it in this edition of News. Thanks for watching.